Well, hello friends, Mark Holmes here, and as always I want to thank you guys for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, this literally does not work. So I'm back home actually a little early today, and before all the thunderstorms sweep in, the last 3 days we've had some crazy storms that have come through, and literally I felt like I'm gonna get struck by lightning out here. But today I'm out here early enough to take care of feeding the fish, and you can see the feeding frenzy is about ready to start. So, news that you probably already heard by now is CeeDee Lamb has signed his rookie deal, $14.1 million guaranteed over 4 years, fifth-year option for the Cowboys. You know, if they feel that he's worth it, that they can sign him for a fifth year without having to go ahead and do another contract. So that's great news, and we know that all of our rookies have already started taking their corona test 2 days ago. They'll be taking one every day, and God willing, if by Saturday they have passed all of these tests, they'll actually be able to start working out at the start. We're still waiting for the NFL and the NFLPA to come up with their final plans as far as the offseason goes. We know there's not going to be any preseason games, and that's going to make some interesting beginning games of the season, so to speak, without having any work and stuff like that. And we'll see. I know one of the things that the NFLPA was talking about was not having any 11-on-11s during training camp. And if that's the case, wow, literally it's going to be almost like weekend football that I used to play, you know, flag football on the weekends, where we show up and, you know, draw some plays up in the dirt. But you know what? I'll take that over nothing. Literally, I'll take that over nothing. In fact, I'm sitting here thinking that if it ends up being, and this would be difficult for the NFL to do, if it ends up being that they can't complete a whole season, maybe the NFL should do something similar to what some of the college programs have talked about and just play conference games. Because, you know, the most important games to me are kicking the Redskins' ass, kicking the Giants' ass, kicking the Eagles' ass. And maybe they should look at saying, let's play conference games first, you know, our divisional games. Okay, I know, it's too late for that. And maybe we should have talked about this before, but if you had to have a shortened season, if it ended up being that you could only play 8 games, 6 games, or whatever, it'd be actually good to be able to play the ones in your division to have a true division champion, and then you could have playoffs. But anyway, I don't work for the NFL, so what do I know? I'm a guy with a day job, a voodoo doll, and some koi I gotta feed. But something interesting just happened, and I'm curious, the fan or the YouTuber formerly known as SkinsFANallDAY, you know, you gotta change your name. You gotta come up with something new, or are you just gonna have a mulligan for this off season? Or this season, I should say, not off season, because the season's beginning. Because the the Washington football team, I got to say it enough times that I get it straight, because we need to get used to saying that, because they've decided, you know what, we don't need a name. No name. We'll just go by the Washington football team. And I'm thinking that this is because Daniel Snyder is so cheap. You know, he's got the worst stadium in the NFL. Let's be honest, FedEx Field is a dump. Now, I will give Jack Kent Cook props for building it with his own money, because he was trying to get it done before he died. But it was 1995. That was 25 years ago. Think about that. That stadium is 25 years old. And at the time it was built, it was already outdated. We're talking about Dan Snyder, who had them sell peanuts past the expiration date. We're talking about Dan Snyder, who sold seats to people waiting on the list for seats. This is back when people actually wanted to go to games. They created 7,000 more seats in the stadium by putting them behind columns, by putting them way up underneath the tunnel under the bleachers. obstructed view seats. Okay, think about this. I want you to think about this. When you buy a ticket from the Cowboys, you don't have to worry about, is this an obstructed view seat? You do when you go to FedEx Field. And so what we're hearing about is there's a guy who went out there a few years back and literally bought up all the kind of names that the Washington football team might want, from Warriors to Red Wolves to whatever. And that the Washington football team would have to pay him a king's ransom to get the name. And apparently, they don't want to do that because we know Dan Snyder's cheap. We know Dan Snyder's cheap. So instead of coming out with a new logo this year, which case they would have to print it and buy it for the uniforms and stuff, here's what they're going to do. They're going to keep the colors the same. They're going to take the chief off the helmet, and they're just going to put the players' numbers on the helmet. Problem solved. Won't cost me any money other than numbers. All it's going to cost me is numbers. I don't have to print any new logos. I don't have to print any new jerseys. We'll just go with that because the name is not on the jerseys before or the pants. So they are the Washington football team. The Washington football team. The no-names. How about we just call them that? The no-names. Hey, we're playing the no-names this week. I mean, can you imagine being a player for the Washington franchise? And say, hey man, I hear you're playing in the National Football League. What team do you play for? You play for the Cowboys, the Steelers, the Giants, the Eagles. Who you play for? Nobody. What do you mean nobody? I heard you're I am. I'm in football. So what team you play for? I can't say. What do you mean you can't say? Cat got your tongue? No. Who you play for? The no names. What? I played for a professional football team. What's their name? Well, they play in Washington. What's the mascot? We don't have one. When you start talking to somebody like that, it's kind of like that person you say, you ain't never had a girlfriend. Yes, I do. I have a girlfriend. Oh, what's her name? Iris. Iris. That's what her name is. Iris. Iris. Yeah. Can I meet her? Oh, no. She's not around here. She lives in Canada. What? Are you really playing professional football and you don't have a mascot or a name? How you gonna lose your name in the off season? I want to know. Washington football team all day. Washington football team. Woo! Yeah. How y'all feel about the Washington football team? Huh? Guys? What y'all think about that? The Washington football team. Hey guys, they are the Washington football team. Yeah. It's going to be an interesting season, to say the least. Right, guys? The Washington football team. Here we go. Here we go, guys. Come on. These guys are crazy. All right. Well, I got some work to do in the workshop, so maybe we'll do a little live stream a little later from there. And we can have a little bit more fun with the Washington football team. The Washington football team. Woo! Yeah. Peace.